Hey, paisans, the time has come. On the air since 2009, the independently produced, non-FCC compliant champ of video game talk podcasting. Here comes Tiger Claw Radio. Here's your host, Critical Failure.
Hey, evening, everybody. Welcome to Tiger Claw Radio. I'm your host, Critical Failure. My goodness, what a week it's been. What a week. Got some video games that I've revisited a game I haven't played in quite some time that we're going to talk about in just a bit. I also have we'll say it's a captain's log, not much of a van cast, but we got some surprises. So let's start by cracking open the vault and listening to some chiptunes. Stick with us. You're listening to Tiger Claw Radio. Mezzanine Stairs with Slum. That's an oldie from chipmusic.org. If you make your way over there and look it up, you can get yourself a copy of the MP3 for your very own to keep for free. All right, boys and girls, let's dial the Wayback Machine to last night. Why is this a Saturday show? Well, you'll find out. We're going on back. It's the Captain's Log. Stick with us. You're listening on Tiger Claw Radio. Well, it's the Captain's Log. This is what we're doing in place of the Vancast. Let's see, it's currently 9:48 p.m. on Friday night. This is usually when I do the regular podcast recording time, but it's been so busy today. Looks like my normal recording will be tomorrow night. So for now, we'll just do kind of like a quick recap of some of the games I wanted to go over. I had a chance to sit down and play some games early this morning, and I don't know what possessed me to play it, but I loaded up Saints Row 2 on Steam. Saints Row 2 was one I played on. I played it on the Xbox 360 a long time ago. It's probably before my daughter was born, so we're talking like 6+ years ago. But at the time when I played through it, I probably put like 30 to 50 hours in it. I played it through to the very end, and after I beat it, I went back and started doing some of the side missions that I hadn't done. I put a lot of time into it, really enjoyed it. And so I was disappointed when I later picked it up on Steam and realized that it didn't work. Steam versions had a lot of problems. It isn't optimized very well, so you have to have a pretty decent computer to run it. But by today's standards, I mean, my computer was a budget computer when I put it together, and even that was like 3+ years ago, so I can run it very well now. Yeah, so I loaded up Saints Row 2, and I did like the first couple hours, because that's about all I had time for, and my goodness, what a good game. Look, I get it that Saints Row 3 was a lot better, but that's not what I played. We're talking Saints Row 2 now. It's like, and there's a lot of series where this happens. Better games came out later in the series, so the earlier ones kind of got forgotten about. But this was like a keystone experience for me. I had a lot of fun with it. It was pretty great. It was pretty awesome to play it again. So that was pretty cool. I mean, apart from that, in terms of cool stuff I've done lately, video games I haven't done much with. I've been playing a lot of idle games just because they kind of fit with my schedule. Games I can open up for a short amount of time and play them. Mostly what I've been interested in has been movies, because when it comes to movies, I've really been able to, dive into things that I haven't been able to before. There's watch some new stuff and so on and so forth. Basically, and I talked about this a couple weeks back. I've never been like a scary movie guy. The horror movies were never my thing. But I've been going on a bit of a horror movie bender these past couple weeks. And we talked about Nightmare on Elm Street. That was how this started. I was watching Nightmare on Elm Street. Watched the remake, and I watched the original, first 3 movies in the franchise. And that was cool. And then I got into the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Or no, excuse me. Then I saw The Exorcist. I saw The Exorcist and loved it. Like, to the point where I was like, this is my new favorite movie. And then I saw The Exorcist 2. And I was like, oh man, I wonder if I'm done with scary movies for now. That was like, The Exorcist 2 was the first movie in a long time where I was like, I don't think I'm going to finish this. And I saw a couple of the Halloween movies. I saw the Halloween movie that came out just a couple of years ago, and that was awesome. I loved that. I saw the Rob Zombie Halloween movies, and I was like, oh, I wonder if I'm done watching scary movies. And then I started watching the Texas Chainsaw Massacre movies. I saw the one from the 70s, and then I saw the one from 2003. And then I saw a movie called Texas Chainsaw 3D, which I think was 2013. And then I saw Leatherface that was just like from 3 years ago. So I watched all of that like in the last week and a half. And those were kind of fun. It's weird because I remember when the 2003 movie came out of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. At the time, I lived in a place that was near a theater. And so I remember hanging around the theater with a lot of the kids my age, and there were cops there for the opening. There were cops there because they had to bounce so many kids. Kids were trying to sneak in, like young, like high school freshmen, that sort of thing. Were trying to sneak in and see the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So it was really cool to finally go back and watch that movie, even though it was like, it was okay, whatever. I really liked seeing Lee Army in it. That was kind of shocking because I liked Full Metal Jacket. And so one guy on YouTube commented that the movie could have just been him and it would have been awesome. And I have to say I would agree. So that was kind of a fun movie. And this morning I saw, or was it this morning? No, it was last night. Last couple ones I saw, what did I see? I saw Evil Dead, the original Evil Dead, and Tucker and Dale versus Evil, which was not really a horror movie, but just one I never got around to watching. That one I remember came recommended to me by none other than Gooch and the Douchebag, like way back around the time it came out, because I think it's March 2010. I think was when it came out, and that's about the time I was talking to G&DB. It was like 2009, between 2009 and like 2011, those years. Yeah, so that was really cool. So I have not really been a movie person for a lot of years. I just haven't been into movies. So discovering scary movies and really watching some of the most notable ones, some of the best ones, has been cool. Oh, and I also saw Child's Play. I saw the original Child's Play, which was like not at all scary. And I kind of wished I'd seen it when I was younger because I thought it was hilarious. That was really funny. Playing Saints Row 2 and watching the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. That's pretty much been the few minutes of free time I've had over the past couple of weeks. Right now I have to it sucks because like I really have to be going to bed in the next like 4 minutes or so, but I wouldn't mind sneaking up to my office to go just to put a few minutes into Saints Row 2. But I'm thinking back to when I played through that game the first time. And that was in the days when I would stay up till 3 a.m. playing games, and then I would lie in bed with my heart palpitating, wishing I had gone to bed earlier. I know that it's a trap. You know, it's not the kind of game that I can just put 5 minutes into and call it a day. But at the same time, I like that I have a game that I'm into that much. It's really cool to be able to play that and dig it again. Excuse me, especially since it's been in my Steam collection for years. Oh my gosh. Saints Row 2 was a game I got like 2 computers ago, maybe? I don't know. It's been a lot of years since I picked that one up. So, yeah, it really says something for, you know, if you've ever found yourself in that spot where you're looking at a Steam game and it's the price is right and you're like, I might not play this, but I might play it one day, so let's just go ahead and pick it up. It's really one of the few moments where it's like, I'm glad I did that, and now I can capitalize on it. And now the main game that I'm playing is this game that I've just been sitting on for years, which is pretty cool. So 3 cheers for being a hoarder, right? Hey, I got an idea. Since I'm not up in my office and I'm kind of down here. Where there's a lot of my physical game collection is down here, and I'm usually separated from all this when I'm recording. This might be a good idea to do like the on the desk bit, which is an old bit I used to do on occasion. Long story short, in order to get myself talking about physical games, I was making a concentrated effort. Let's talk about actual games that people can get rather than just freeware games. So, on the desk was whatever games that happened to be on my desk. That's what I was going to talk about. And it wasn't necessarily going to be a review. It was just going to be, hey, this is what it is. Maybe it's a review if I had one, you know, and if I knew enough about it at the time. But it could just be my personal experience with the game, what I thought about it and whatnot. When it comes to that sort of thing, I really like to focus on personal experience because that's the kind of thing you can't just bring up Wikipedia and find, you know, how the game made me feel. All right, so I walked over to my dresser. Now my dresser stands almost chest high. It's pretty tall. And I've got my old tube TV on it. That's my tube TV right there. Let's see if it makes a sound when I turn it on. Oh, yeah. You know that sound? You fire it up and the screen just takes a minute to light up. Oh my gosh. That's sort of a high-pitched hum. Oh yeah. I don't know what makes that hum, but whatever it is, I'm sure it gives you cancer. I love it. Next to that, I have the Atari 2600. What's in there now? This is how I can tell I haven't played the Atari, because Pac-Man's in it. And I think we did something last week. Was it last week or 2 weeks ago when I talked about my Atari doubles? And it still has Pac-Man in there from when I did that. Looking over my Famiclone. My Famiclone has a pachinko game in it. Yes, I love me some pachinko. But it's kind of hard to go over Famicom games, because with the exception of a select few, I really don't know what their names are. Pachio-kun, I guess, is the pachinko series with the anamorphic pachinko ball. And it kind of walks around in sort of like a JRPG style, and you got to walk up to the pachinko machines and play them. Yeah, that's what I like. I've got Pachio-kun 3 in the machine. Man, I would love to play those games in English. This is very weird. Very weird. I don't know how I went down that road and got into pachinko. It's very strange. What else is in my Famicom drawer? I haven't played my Famicom in a while. It'd be nice to get that hooked up again. Load Runner. Load Runner is a good game. Championship Load Runner. Absolutely not a good game. I forgot I have Karateka, however you say that. I picked that up at MagFest probably a couple years back, and I haven't played it. That's a great game. I got some of the Kunio-kun games. What is that? That's Valis. I've got Valis. And then some wrestling. Oh man, I think this might be a Famicom night. What do you think, guys? I really wanted to get an authentic Famicom. I was pretty close at one point. Like the Goonies 2. That's a good game. I wish I had the original Goonies, but got Goonies 2. Yeah, so I came pretty close to getting a Famicom. There was a Japanese dealer who was selling them at a pretty reasonable price. Like, I wouldn't say a cut rate deal, but it was something I could afford. I can't even remember what it was, like probably like $40 or something. But I didn't get it because what I learned, I think it might have been Hemrock who told me this. The original Famicom doesn't have AV cables. Okay, so if you want to play the original Famicom, you really got to use the what is it now? The RF switch, right? The old-fashioned coaxial cable. That's how they hook up. And the only exception is you get the I think it's called the FC Twin. Help me out, Famicom guys. It's not the FC Twin, because I think that's the clone system. But the real grail is the Famicom like dual system, the great big one that was built and designed to be to also have the Famicom disk system. That thing. People say that's the way to go because that thing's built with AV cables, but I don't know, man. I kind of just want my coaxial cable, legit Famicom with the tiny little wires on the controllers, and you know what I mean. That's kind of what I want. I want the one that I've seen in pictures since forever. And I feel like now I've got a pretty decent Famicom games collection. 4, 8. What do we got here? That would make this 10, 20. Probably about 30 Famicom games. Not a single one of these expensive, but Star Force. I knew I had Star Force. I got that on Famicom. They played that at MagFest at a panel that Hemrock and I were at. What else I have? Mighty Bomb Jack. What is this? Urban Champion. Oh, snap. I don't care. I like Urban Champion. Don't let anybody tell you that game's terrible. Urban Champion is a great game. Urban Champion is very clearly, and I didn't realize this when I was young, but it is a full-fledged Nintendo game port, direct port of a Game & Watch game. And it's the only time I saw them do that until all the way up until they had Game & Watch galleries on the Game Boy. It's the boxing game. If you play the Game & Watch boxing game, the mechanics function exactly like Urban Champion. So that game, either it was popular enough or they thought they could update it enough, I don't know how it happened, but they gave it a new coat of paint, they gave it a new name, and they ported a Game & Watch game to the Nintendo, and that's why I like it. It's a bold move. Bold move. A bold move, and it's not from another company either. That is a first-party Nintendo game. Black box Nintendo game if you get the American NES version. So good luck sweeping that one under the rug. Where is my Urban Champion updated remake? Can you get that game on the Switch? Everybody's talking about who's going to be in the new Smash game. I want to know who's going to be in the new Urban Champion game. Who's going to be green shirt versus blue shirt? Come on now. At least give us an Urban Champion minigame in Super Smash Brothers, where you're really just playing Urban Champion, but you can use like the Smash Brothers people or something. They need to bring back Urban Champion in some way. I get it that it's not it's not robust enough to constitute an entire game sale. But put it as like a special mode somewhere. Hide it somewhere. Make the entire game an Easter egg or something. There's not enough of that anymore. Easter eggs. You remember that? Easter eggs? Now Easter eggs are just like, no, you can see a sprite if you look in the thing or whatever. But when's the last time you unlocked an Easter egg and there was an entire video game there? The last time I remember that happening was Black Ops. Call of Duty Black Ops had Zork. The rest of the game was still just another Call of Duty game, but goodness, it had Zork in it, so that counts. How are we doing? 18 minutes in? Oof. This is going to be a rough one, boys and girls. I wouldn't mind playing my NES again. I always get really... When I sit and watch YouTube, I don't know if you guys are like this, but I get really critical over, like, when I see people with these huge NES collections. I get really critical about that because I see the huge NES collections, and most often what I'm seeing is people who don't play their NES games and they have these huge collections, right? The people with the big time collectors and the people who play Nintendo all the time are not the same people. At least there's very little overlap, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. Or maybe it's just the people who make YouTube videos are like that. But I have a nice NES collection. It's not enormous, but it's nice. It's pretty big, and I've got... I don't have what Bithead 1000 would call a wallet buster. I don't think I have any wallet busters. No big time expensive games, but I got a couple. I mean, that are halfway decent in price. If you want to get online and get yourself a copy of Contra or Mega Man 3, good luck. You're gonna pay a pretty penny for that. But I certainly have enough Nintendo games to keep a Nintendo fan busy all night. And what would I play? I'm just going through the collection now. To be honest with you, I'd probably play some of the most recent acquisitions since I stopped collecting Nintendo games. Pro Wrestling would be one. I wouldn't mind playing a couple rounds of Pro Wrestling. I played Pro Wrestling on a Play Choice 10 at MagFest. I don't even think this was last year. I think this was the year before last. And I got walloped, and I was like, oh, I got beat really bad, but it was still kind of fun doing it. And now I own the game, which is pretty awesome. I really never got... Here's another one I would love to play again. Legacy of the Wizard by Broderbund Software. I don't know if you guys are familiar with this one or not. But Legacy of the Wizard is a game I always thought was super awesome. Music was great. I loved it that it was non-linear. It's side-scrolling. The graphics are awesome. Just had a really great feel to it. And I really never got anywhere in that game. It just didn't happen. So, dust. I wouldn't mind, now that I'm a little older and a little wiser, and I have a password book where I can write the password down, just giving it another try and just seeing if I can get anywhere. What else we got? Good old Legend of Kage, which I grew up calling Legend of Cage. I've got 2 copies of that, actually. I have it on the American Nintendo, and I also have it on the Famicom. That's a good one.
I got a few like ROM hacks here that are just dying to be played, where I jumped through a couple extra hoops so I could get these custom games, and then they showed up and played them a little bit, but I don't think enough to constitute all the extra work I went through to get them. Do I still have my copy of Rockman? Rockman No Constancy? I'm not seeing it here, and it's kind of making me nervous. Maybe I gave that to somebody. What happened to my copy of Rockman No Constancy? Did I, Sean or Hemrock, did I give that to you? I'd have been okay with that. I don't know. I can't remember. All right, boys and girls. With that, I'm going to send you guys back to the studio. I'll see you there.
All right, boys and girls, back in the studio. We're going to enjoy some more chip tunes on this Saturday night. But first things first, I want to tip my hat, nay, lift my glass to a group of fine gentlemen we know as the Patreon supporters. These guys give of their meager resources in these uncertain times to make sure that the TCR can come back every single week. So to them, I offer early access to the show, and we also read their names off in a hall of distinguished gentlemen. They are Hemrock, Sendu, Tecmo Balls, Darabka, Konstantin Kelman, and Eric Controller. Thank you guys so much, and I hope you're enjoying the party. And with that, let's listen to some chiptunes. Stick with us. This is Tiger Claw Radio. That's Bacon Ragil, playing Sunblade. Again, that's another oldie from chipmusic.org. I'm looking at the dates for the file, and it looks like I downloaded that one on February 2nd, 2018. So that one's stuck in my collection for quite some time. And all right, boys and girls. So let's see what we have here. We've got Japanese import games on the way. Still no show. We've got everybody still talking about the Final Fantasy remake on the internet. What else have we got? We've got no real update on the Suikoden front. The little bit of time I had to play was Saints Row 2, which we talked about in the Captain's Log. And my goodness, that was a good time. Thoroughly enjoyed Saints Row 2. Here's a little nugget that made me smile. So over on the Steams, I've tried multiple times to start various Steam groups for various different reasons over the years. There's a game called Guncraft that I was kind of a champion for. Right, it was like a dying first-person shooter where they took Minecraft style like rip-off blocks and they they built like a shooting game around it. There's a couple different games that did that. But this one, you could actually build gigantic guns, and then it would shrink them down and make them usable. Fun little game. So after the multiplayer died out, I made a Steam group of people playing that every week, and that kind of floundered and died. And we did the Dead Multiplayer Society, and we were able to we had a few events there, and that kind of died. And so the last thing that I ended up doing was the River City Online Club. Now, River City Online Club was not a multiplayer, or it wasn't a traditional Steam group. This one was more. It was like a chat group on Steam, and I logged on, and there's actually people. It's not a lot. It's a small select group, but I can see people using it and getting games of River City Melee, River City Battle Royale on Steam. They're actually using it and getting together and playing, which pleases my heart. So over on the Twitters, I'll have to post a link to the River City Online Club. If you're a Steam user and you have any of the River City Ransom games, you want to get a group together, that might be a good option. I personally, I'm a big fan of the Resident Evil series, and there was a period of time, but 5 and 6 in particular both had some good multiplayer modes, but it's difficult to get games going. So there's a similar group like this with a couple hundred people who use it, and you can actually pretty regularly get games going. You can regularly get games going in that group, but not by just generically looking online like you would expect to on a populated multiplayer game. So I know groups like this are a thing, either here or on Discord, but I'm a big fan of the River City Ransom games. I have been for many, many, many years, ever since I was a little kid, and I played the regular Nintendo version. By the way, come on now. I know there's people listening who haven't played River City Ransom, or, River City Ransom, at least that first game, I think transcends beat-em-up games, because I think it's just the right balance, but it has a few RPG elements, and plus some looting of coins, and a tiniest little bit of non-linearity, just the tiniest bit. So it still maintains all of the things that are fun about a beat-em-up game. And then it has awesome graphics and music. It's just a generally awesome game. And then it throws in a little bit of replayability. It's just an all-time classic. Highly recommended. I cannot, and this is a game that I've beaten many times. I mean, if you know what you're doing, you can blast through that game in 30 minutes. And every couple of years, I play through it at least once. And even after all these years, still the best. Still one of the best games on the NES, in my opinion. So yeah, it's pretty awesome to be playing River City Ransom games, plural, on Steam all these years later. So that's really awesome. It does kind of surprise me that I haven't gone back to play Dead by Daylight in a while. I watched all these horror movies, and I saw a lot of the source material for Dead by Daylight. A lot of the stages, are clearly lifted from a lot of these movies, especially the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and the ones that they licensed, right? Texas Chainsaw Massacre and the Halloween movies. I thought seeing and enjoying those, I would have immediately gone back and played some more Dead by Daylight, because man, I do love that game, but it's been a while. I burned out on old Dead by Daylight, and to be perfectly honest, when it was at its peak and I was enjoying it the most, I was doing it in long sessions, and long sessions are really difficult for me right now. Long sessions of anything are incredibly difficult for me right now. I thought I would just pop over and look at a gaming news site, just because I tend to lose touch with some of what these people are talking about. I know Final Fantasy VII Remake is a thing that people are excited about, and I wanted to see what else was going on. Maybe that's some of the console people are playing, because I'm not a console guy at all. So, they get excited about games that totally sail right through my lexicon. And just flipping around, it looks like a slow news time for video games, to be perfectly honest. What do we have here? Call of Duty third-person glitch makes case for official mode. What? Team Fortress 2 update adds tribute to late voice actor Rick May. That's right, I read about that. Rick May, who was the voice of the soldier, he passed away from he was very old, and I think he had kidney failure, but he contracted COVID-19 and unfortunately passed. He had a lot of other health issues, but that was very sad. It was very sad, and this is one of those instances where I think a lot of the young people, I saw this, a lot of the young people who still play TF2 made a lot of like silly meme videos starring the soldier and whatnot because he was the voice. But it's like, come on, guys, let us not forget that was a real human being, like person who lived and had people who cared about him. So if you've played TF2, the iconic voice of the soldier, Rick May, has moved on. So thank you, Rick, and God bless. I've got to close this quote unquote gaming news site because it's literally making my skin crawl a little bit. I literally have the heebie-jeebies now. Oh jeez. All right. How are we doing? We ready to go to the fail bag yet? I think so. All right, boys and girls, you know what it is. We're all stuck here. We might as well have a good time. Let me know what you're thinking. You can head over to YouTube and leave a comment. If you know me personally, please shoot me an email. I love to read them. Just be clear about what you're okay with me reading on the air. But with that, let's head over to YouTube and read some of the comments. All right, the good old YouTube studio is loading right now, so bear with me. Brace yourselves, everybody. It's time for the YouTube studio to load and deliver the comments fresh and piping hot from the oven. And my goodness, aren't they always? So we got this thing slowly loading. We're going to get rid of the filter that says comments I've already heard, and we're going to go ahead and flip through them. Let's see. I like to read all of them, even the ones that are just like on random videos that I made. For example, MS-DOS menu programs. You know, these MS-DOS videos, they do really well. They have a slow build year after year. People just keep going back to them. Well, you might remember I did one looking specifically at MS-DOS menu programs. That is to say, people who used MS-DOS who didn't have Windows, or actually, let me clarify. In those days, Windows was a DOS program. Right? Up until Windows 98, Windows was not an operating system. It was a DOS program. It was something called a shell, which is technical definition of a shell is a program you use to launch other programs. So MS-DOS used to have very, very simple programs like that called menu programs, right? You just program a shortcut and then you hit it and then like a text list and there you go, a little program launcher. That was when everybody was using a command prompt and it was very expensive to not use a command prompt. So I wanted to look at some of these old programs, and this one brainiac, I guess his name was William. He commented, "Why don't you just use Windows 3.1?" I feel like this person has missed the point completely. I didn't bother to respond in text because I really didn't want to shoot the guy down, and just dump all over him. But I kind of feel like you missed the point there, buddy. But thanks for watching anyway. I do kind of appreciate the snide comments because I haven't been popular enough for mean comments, really, ever. So occasionally they come in and I get a kick out of them. Somebody said one on the WordStar 4 video, which is still my most popular video, WordStar 4, 1987 Retro Computing. I came here for the information. Thank you, bro. Now I can finish my assignments. That was awesome. I haven't gotten a nice comment on that video in a very, very long time. Hidden and Dangerous 1999 PC/GOG. Please upload this game to this website. No, not doing that. And then we come to the stuff of my bros actually commenting on the the episode of last week. So let me make sure I'm getting the right one. Okay, yeah, Eric Controller from 2 weeks ago. And here we go. Mecha Menace says, comment might be hidden too, but as per usual, Sega didn't mind recreated fan works. Okay, Sega doesn't mind recreated fan works. I don't know about that, Mecha Menace. Do you remember the Streets of Rage remake? Do you remember that? Well, let me refresh your memory, because I'm sure you do, but just for everybody else's sake. There was a game, it was the Streets of Rage remake. And it was at least 5 years in development. Fan-made Streets of Rage game with, I'm pretty sure it had official sprites. Beautiful looking game. Oh my gosh. Robust. Lots of modes and fun little things you could do. And when it finally came out in its full version, which by the way, it was a free game. After 5 years in development, it had about a day and a half before it was served with a cease and desist from Sega. Look, I know they have their legal reasons to do so, and it's absolutely 100% their right. I just feel like, even being the most lenient of the big companies, because I understand they are the most lenient, right? They still have their... I don't understand why that got pulled, and all of the Sonic the Hedgehog, like, fan-made mods stand. I don't know. I guess it's just that one incident I'm still really salty about after all these years. Let's see. But that was from the episode from 2 weeks ago. Then we come to last week's, and I got a couple of spam comments on last week's episode, which I find hilarious. Death Adder writes, got a game from Pat the NES Punk, dies a little inside. Got a game from Crow, smirks with double pointer fingers. So I finally did it. I purchased Morrowind. First impressions, I'm really digging the acid trip world of Morrowind, and I can confirm the thing runs like a brand new Ferrari sports car on the Xbox One, even if the graphics still look like Turok 64 Dinosaur Hunter. I played it completely blind for a couple of hours as a Khajiit, and I ended up almost having a panic attack, moving so slowly in this massive, confusing world. So I took to the internet and made a Breton who, unlike Khajiit, I can actually wear shoes and can get some sweet boot where you don't move like molasses. I feel like my only hope of not flaking out on this game is to use the internet at least a little bit, even at the cost of losing a little immersion. Now, I replied to this right away because I felt like this was time for some bro support and offer some encouragement. And my reply from 5 days ago was, nothing wrong with a little internet assistance, man. I had to patch the game to make it behave differently in order to play it. So if all you're doing is looking up stuff, then you're more legit than me. Death Adder's response was, lol, true. I'll never take map markers for granted ever again. Yeah, because there are none in Morrowind. Morrowind is the game where it's like, you want to get to the dungeon, it's like east of here or something. Good luck finding it in all the hills. And there have been many times playing that game where it's like, my gosh, I can't find where I'm supposed to go. That's one of those things where if you throw your hands up and actually look things up, Morrowind has the single most detailed map and location service online, of any game I think I've ever played. All of that stuff is finely detailed in the wiki. So if you ever get stuck, the old internet will bail you out. Glad it's running good too, because man, it's a good game. You talked about you called it the acid trip world of Morrowind. Something about Morrowind, I think more so than the other Elder Scrolls games, Morrowind feels the most like it deviated from, I guess, what you'd call the Tolkien-esque world, right? Because there are these elements that you see in fantasy games and fantasy books and fantasy movies, and they just come straight from Lord of the Rings, which, by the way, I is great, right? The Lord of the Rings elves, Tolkien-esque elves and dwarves and stuff. I get it that that's part of popular culture now. It's not just a Tolkien thing. But I like that Morrowind is kind of went somewhere else as well. Like the gigantic bugs, the silt striders, I think is a wonderful example. So there's great stuff. There's really great stuff in that game. But then of course it's mixed with like elves and dwarves and stuff that's a little bit more familiar and kind of easier to digest. So yeah, I think it's a perfect mix. And the sound is great. Oh my gosh, so good. Stick with it, man. These comments came in 5 days ago, and I hope you're still playing it. And by the way, getting the ribbing about a game from Pat the NES Punk, that package I did an unboxing of, believe it or not. The video was many years ago, but I think I called it like Atari Restoration or something like that, and it was essentially just like a bubble mailer that had 5 Atari games in it. There were 5 great games. That's how I got Berserk. Berserk is like one of my favorite Atari games, and I don't know, I got a deal on them. And let's be honest, if they came from Pat, I doubt they were like his personal games. I doubt that. probably just, resellers reselling, right? All right. What else we got? Eric Kentroller. Eric, my man. He says, hey, thanks for the compliment on my banner. I made it way back when I started my channel 5 years ago. I just drew it up in paint one afternoon and gave it the exact same thing I was wearing at the time. Just a wife beater and some jeans. It's been my banner ever since. Maybe I should make a new pixel banner to freshen it up a little. I could just do it myself or maybe something else. Got any suggestions? Okay, let's a quick break to answer this question. I'm the wrong guy to ask, Eric. So I've been on YouTube since 2008, and at the time when I came on, you had more control over the background of your channel. And my channel in those days, when you had the most control over what it looked like, was very, very plain. And I never really bothered to make a banner. And it was just kind of orange. I'm not very good at that sort of graphical design. What does my banner look like now? I don't even know. Let's see. Stick with me. Click on Tiger Claw TV. I go to the channel. I know my icon is Jeffrey from, what was that show I used to love so much? It was one of the late night talk shows before late night talk shows really became a joke. It's like the last great late night talk show. It was the Late Show with Craig Ferguson. That's what it was. I used to watch that all the time. I loved that show. And like the sidekick was like a robot skeleton. So my little thumbnail icon is that guy, Jeffrey from the Late Show with Craig Ferguson. And it looks like my banner is just like a picture of stuff that was on my desk one day, and I just MS painted the words Tiger Claw TV in. Oh yeah, it's high class stuff. I mean, I guess there's a picture of, I had a copy of Star Ocean 2 on my desk at the time, which looks kind of nice, but, I guess the point I'm making is you clearly put work into your banner. It's good. I think you're okay on that one. But let's get back to the comment and see what else we have here, if I can, because I think I might have navigated away from it. Nope. Yeah, here we go. We're good. So he goes on. By the way, update on Killing Floor. I showed it to a buddy of mine who has never played it, and we both bought it. I plan on recording my reaction to it and posting it on my channel. I'll give you a shout out for the suggestion. Keep up the good work. Thank you, man. That is awesome, and I'm so glad you get to experience Killing Floor with a friend, because that was, I think, what kept me with that game for so long when I played it, because I had friends, I had a group of people. It just started as just me and one other person, and then people kind of hooked up and joined up with us, and then we kind of formed a squad, and we battled it out. It's what a great game it was. So I hope you and your buddy stick with it and experience leveling up a little bit. I'm popped over to your channel right now, and it looks like we've got. You did some Black Mesa, which I've never played, so I should probably watch that. And we got two Let's Plays of Black Mesa. We've got the Cursed Forest, a whole bunch of parts of that, and then the rest is all the stuff I saw last time. Yeah, so I will definitely watch your Killing Floor stuff. That'll be good times. Killing Floor is a good game. Get ready to die a lot. Get ready to die a lot, man. Was that the end? Eric, man, I hope you're staying safe. I hope everything's going good over there. All of you guys get over to Eric's channel and hit that sub button. Smash that like button. He's got 24 subs. I want to see that number go up by next week. All right, we got one from, I think his name is, it's just YST. I'm trying to figure out how to pronounce that. Yeast, I guess? I don't know. Double Dragon Full Hearts trick on NES. He says, how the heck do you execute the elbow punch, and why is it so hard to find? I can't remember how to do it, to be honest with you. All right, so let me give you a little background on what he's talking about. If you play Double Dragon in the arcade, the first one, you have sort of like a back elbow punch move that you can do. And in the first game, that move is way, way overpowered. All right. I've been told that you can one credit the entire game without getting hit just by doing the back elbow. Now, I've played it. I wasn't able to one credit the whole game without getting hit, but you can absolutely get through the whole game just by back elbowing the crap out of everyone in the first Double Dragon, at least in the arcade game. Now, the NES game was a different story. I mean, you guys, we're probably all familiar with this by now, but the NES game had sort of a heart system where you had to build up your techniques. And I happen to know about a little glitch, or not like a glitch, but like a secret where you could fight an invisible man and build up all your techniques right at the beginning of the game, the start of the second level. I knew about this because my older brothers showed me when I was a kid, and I assume they read it in Nintendo Power or something, because this is not something that you would stumble across. You had to do some pretty extensive stuff to make it work, and I made a video about it, so that's what he's talking about. So it sounds like, when I hear this, it sounds like we have a guy who's playing the Nintendo game, but somehow trying to execute the trick from the arcade game. And let me tell you, brother, it ain't gonna work. The elbow punch does exist in the NES game, but it's not something that you do as a main attack. You know, it's a fallback to get the guy behind you or something like that, but try a different strategy. It does exist, but try a different strategy. And I think you have to unlock it as well. Like, it unlocks quickly. It's probably one of the first couple hearts, but right out of the gate, I don't think it's there. To be honest, I'd have to go back and play the original Double Dragon again and find out, but I don't know. That was a cool comment to get. Thumbs up on that one. Mecha Menace. This is Mecha Menace's comment from this week. The first one I read was like from last week that I think came in at the tail end, so I don't think it actually got read last week. But this one, he says, I've had some brushes with internet famous people on eBay as well. I sold a Saturn game to Adam Koralik and Game Boy Games to two members of the Retronauts podcast on separate occasions. I mentioned that I watched/listened to their stuff. Only Korolak responded warmly. 43 minutes and 26 seconds. He says, replacement for Mark Hamill's Joker. There's quite a bit of range with that rule, but you got that part. You got part of it down. All right, now wait a second. I got to hear what he's talking about because he left a time signature in. I got to go listen to this because I think he might be poking fun of me, but I can't remember. So I'm going to stop the recording for just a bit. Stick with me. That strikes me more of I'd hate to say it because I really don't like this guy, but that sounds more like Adam Sandler than the Joker to me. Today, Junior. Oh boy. All right, let's get back to the comment because I think I lost my place again. Jeez Louise, I'm awful. Okay, he says, not only do you run out of snacks in your fort, but eventually you have to leave and go to the bathroom. I wish we could all teleport our poo straight into the sewer or septic tank as it enters our own rectum, but that isn't the case. Okay, so yes, there's some issues with the fort idea. You do have to go potty at some point, and the potty issue is certainly is a logistical problem. You could put a bucket in the fort. I mean, if provided that the top is high enough. But I would, or you could actually build the fort in the potty, so that you had you were just sitting on the cold tile of the bathroom under a blanket. And when you had to go, you could just sit up, and do your business, and you'd be fine. But hey, it is what it is. If you want to live that blanket fort lifestyle, you got to make a sacrifice, and that's it. Sometimes you got to get out and go to the bathroom. What are you going to do? Portable game systems were made to be played inside of forts. I don't care. Inside of forts and sitting on the potty. And if you haven't made a blanket fort at least once in this in this pandemic while we're all locked down at home, you really got to reassess your priorities, because it's time to take comfort in a blanket fort. Oh yeah, nice warm blankets. I was downstairs looking through my games just the other day, and I came across a drawer that I have where I have it used to be the main deposit of PS1 and PS2 games, And that has since changed because now I play them upstairs instead of downstairs. But there's still like a few stragglers behind that don't get played much. Few examples, RPG Maker. Okay, so I've got RPG Maker on the PS1, and then there was an RPG Maker 2 and an RPG Maker 3, both that came out on the PS2. So I've got all those games. They're kind of stuck downstairs because they're not getting played. I've got, I don't know, I've got Pong on the PlayStation. You might remember the PlayStation had like a weird modernized version of Pong that came out in like, I don't know, 2000 or something. That's a fun little game. I remember playing that with a multi-tap. I've got Wild Arms 2 socked away down there. Love me some Wild Arms 2. And but the game that really piqued my attention was Street Skater, and I talked about this on the air a few weeks back. You might remember I was playing those extreme sports games for the PS1. I played some 2 Extreme, and I played some. What was the other game? Cool Borders 3. And I remember amongst those, when I was originally playing them, I think from there I moved on to the Tony Hawk games. But before that was Street Skater. And Street Skater was a game that was like... I'm trying to think about how much of it was the game and how much of it was the soundtrack. But it was a seminal game for me. And I'd love to dig out my copy of Street Skater and play it. I left it downstairs. I don't know why I did that, but I would love to play Street Skater again. I kind of worry about it because... I worry that if I were to make a Let's Play, that I would get nailed for using the music. You know, even if I just raw played the game and nothing else, like I would get. I guess it doesn't really matter because I don't monetize. So if people put ads up, just nothing. It doesn't really affect me. It's not like I'm losing anything. But you know, YouTube's a weird place. You got to pay attention to these sorts of things. Even in Patreon only videos, I did a couple Patreon videos of Suikoden, and one of them had copyright, and even though there was nothing in it but the game, and the other one did not. So very strange. Not exactly sure what part of the game triggered the auto copyright system. I know Konami has got sort of like a bad streak with that, with the way they handle copyright. But you know, hey, it is what it is. You do these types of videos, and this is like a known risk that sort of happens. So, whatever. Just know that if you're on my channel clicking around and you see an ad, it isn't from me, because I haven't had ads on my videos in years. Many years. I turned them off myself. Before they pulled the plug on ads for small channels, I turned them off myself like a year before that. So, no ads, not from me. How are we doing now? 57 minutes in? Yes, I wouldn't mind playing some Street Skater again. I do love the PS1, man. We had that little PS1 rip almost like 3 weeks ago now. Jeez, we gotta play some more PS1. I even brought a fistful of games up here. Look at this. Siphon Filter 2, Twisted Metal 2. I'd like to play Twisted Metal on an emulator and see if there's less input lag. Army Men 3D. What is that? Black Dawn. I've got a couple games in here that don't have cases. What are they? Give me a second here. Cool Borders 3, we played that. Army Men 3D, Black Dawn. Yeah, here we go. Worms World Party, which seems like a waste now because I have, of course, there's a Steam release that I have. Vigilante 8. Wow, that's a great game too. Those car combat games, I remember them so well, but if you actually revisit them now, my goodness, there was some serious input lag. Very serious input lag. I don't know how I was able to play the original Twisted Metal games for as long as I did, because it's no joke. That's a tough game to control. It really is. I wonder how many more old 3D rendered games were like that, where I would my brain would just adjust to input lag, and I would make it work even though it wasn't working very well. Like another great example is I'm looking. I just happen to be thumbing through my copy of Gran Turismo 2. You might remember last week I was talking to Junior about this, and I'm wondering if this had input lag. This is like a laser pinpoint precision simulator where you got to be right on target. And if there was any input lag, then my goodness, wouldn't that make for an unplayable experience? But then again, let's be honest. I got my copy of Gran Turismo 2 for like $4. So, what are you going to do? Alright, how we doing? 59 minutes and 30 seconds in. And with that, boys and girls, look, I know it's tough without the Vancasts because it's kind of hard to... the Vancasts really helped to make it so that I would stick on a topic for like a short period of time and explore it, and then I would have time to like get myself together and then be fresh again in the next... every 10 minutes or so on the show, I would come back fresh with new stuff. So it's been a little tough without that, but I think you guys have been instrumental in pulling us through, and it's still been a great time. I've really enjoyed doing some talking here in the studio, kind of the way TCR roots were. This is how the show started, right? It was just me and my little computer with a mic, jamming out to some chip tunes, or I guess in those days it was like ska punk stuff. That's what I started with. But yeah, it's been great. So thank you so much for hanging out and spending some time kicking around talking about games. I really, in my heart of hearts, I truly wish everyone out there is staying safe and just enjoying being at home, being with your families, and take care of yourselves, because I'm rooting for you. And I'll see you next week.